Hello, 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 and welcome. This is Jennifer Hart, and this is Jennifer Hart Connected. That's what I named it. I don't know, it just kind of came about. We'll see what happens with that. But I am Jennifer Hart. If I haven't met you yet, hello, welcome. Thanks for coming. Let me know who you are. Drop where you're from in the comments and say hi. And if I already know you, thanks for coming back. And it's so great to have you here. I kind of feel like Mr. Rogers saying that, but it's so true, right? Today, I'm excited. We're going to be talking about energy, which is like, I love like the divine timing of these things. So my energy this week has been very off and very scattered. So I'm sure Sandi is going to help me understand what's going on and how I can improve that. If you don't know who I call myself a connector. So I started my spiritual journey about 12 years ago. And I've just been on this path of personal development, change, growth, wanting to, you know, heal and clear out anything that's not serving me. And then what I love to do is share my experiences and what I'm going through with other people along the way so that if they're on their own journey and they feel called to explore themselves and where they're at and where they can be to help guide them and just give them resources, people, tools, events, and information. So, with that being said, I love to do these interviews. And today we are going to be talking about the energies with Sandi Girard-Hecker. Sandi lives in this California Central Valley. She is an Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner and Coach, also known as ELI, and then Master Practitioner MP. She helps people identify and understand their energy levels and how they show up for themselves and others under normal circumstances and under stress. She helps people perform at higher levels so they have quicker access to greater solutions. Sandi was a sales trainer and district sales coordinator for 14 years prior to becoming a coach and an ELI MP. Her hobbies include motorcycle riding, cooking, decorating sugar cookies, camping, reading, and helping with fundraising events. She is very great at that. Hi. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How
How
are
are
you?
you?
I'm good. We already had this talk. I'm like pumping it up. Like that's the theme of the week of this week. So, and you are just like on fire this morning.
Fuego.
So tell us, what is the energy? Oh, I always like to start how I know people. So how I know Sandi is I wanted to improve my speaking skills. So I joined Toastmasters. If you don't know what Toastmasters is, it's a club that is a safe space to help people become better public speakers or just public speakers at all. Cause maybe you just want to improve in business meetings or, board meetings, whatever. So I went to our local Toastmasters, and we have 3 different groups here currently. At the time, there was only 2, and I showed up and I tested out the times and the groups each. And Sandi's in the super early morning one. And so I went, and when I met her, I loved her instantly. She has great energy, and I was just like, oh, I like this girl a lot. And then I did not choose to go to that club because it's too early in the morning. It's a 7 a.m. club on Friday. And I'm just like, as much as I think that I'm going to show up as an entrepreneur at 7 a.m. every Friday, it's not going to happen. So we ended up on a trip together with another fellow Toastmaster. And we did a little less than a week trip to go to see Brendan Burchard in San Diego. And so that was where we really got to bond and get to know each other. And since then, we've just been connected, and she's amazing. And yeah, that's our story. Do you have anything to add to that? Did I miss anything?
I love being on this journey with you. It's so much fun.
It
It's
is
so
so
much
much
fun.
fun. Yes, it's fun to watch like the parallels and then the growth between each of us,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. So, Sandi, it has been in learning about energy and becoming the master practitioner and coaching. And so she is now reading my ELI, my Energy Leadership Index. So, can you tell people what an ELI is?
Absolutely. So let's talk about the energy for real quick before we do that. There are several different kinds of energy that people talk about, particularly in your circle of people, right? There's the energy that we feel from one another as empaths. There's the energy from flipping on the light switch. There's the energy from food. There's just so many different kinds of energy. This is your energetic presentation, how you show up, right? And I do an assessment. It's kind of like a personality test. So if you've ever done a DISC assessment or a, I can't think, Myers-Briggs assessment, this is similar, except here's the beautiful thing. With a personality test, it shows you your personality. Like, this is it. This is you. This is who you are always. With your energetic profile, your energetic leadership index, it's assessment of where you are today, right now. And the great thing about that is you can change it, right? You can do the work and you can lift it and raise it up, or you can hit a slump and you can lower it. It's completely up to you. So Jen took an assessment, it's a questionnaire, and she got a report back from that. And it's kind of a little like, here's your energetic profile, here's how you show up. And so it's kind of like a snippet. And then it takes about an hour to do a full on debrief to give her a deep dive into who she is, how she shows up, and why she shows up that way. And we did that, but today we're going to take an even deeper dive. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Ooh, that does sound fun. So what's funny is when you did the debrief with me previously, it was very spot on, and we laughed because I was in such a caca mood. Like, I was totally in a low vibrating energy. I was really tired, and yeah, I should have rescheduled and I didn't. And so we get in there and we're halfway through and she's like, "Do you want to reschedule?" And at this point I'm like, "No, like, I'm already here. Like, let's just do it." And so I told her, I was like, "I'm so sorry." You know what I mean? Like, and it's so funny that we're talking about energy. Like, how ironic was it? And that's how I was showing up. And even this week, like, I've been a little overwhelmed, overcommitted, stressed out, just because I always have high expectations of myself. So when I put on these events that I'm doing, I see it up here and what I want to happen and how I want it to be executed, and people, I could go here and they're going to be like, it's the best event ever. So it's my own expectations a lot of times, but, yeah, plus just other moving parts. So I'm excited to do an even deeper dive today. And the reason why we're going to have her read my chart is so that people can see how it works and kind of associate it with your life. You'll be able to be like, oh, maybe that's the energy I'm in. And also, Sandi does have some availability if anybody is interested in getting an ELI reading for themselves. And I think it's at a discounted price right now, right?
It is. I'm doing the Jen Friends and Family program. So we're doing an assessment for $99. You get an email. It comes with the assessment itself. You go through and you answer the questions. If you've ever done, like I said, a personality assessment, you'll be kind of familiar with the process. Then after that, you get a little synopsis. You get to see what percentage you show up in each energy level, which I'll go over in just a second. And then you'll get a report right below that shows you how you show up when you're faced with a stressor. Because that's really important to know, right? Like, we're bebopping through life and life is good. And then, like we were talking before, somebody throws the stick and is like, well, you were supposed to be chasing this over here and you're sitting on the couch. That's a stressor, right? So how do we respond to that? And people are shocked to find out how they respond to that. Or you're working on a project at work and all of a sudden this thing comes up and now you have to change gears, or your coworkers in your cubicle, or, any
Yeah,
number
it
of
was
things.
really insightful to see what mine was. So we'll talk more about this in a second, but my high energy levels is like, I usually vibrate at a 7, 8, or 9, which is towards the highest, right? And you put me under some stress and I go down to a 1, 2, and 3. And I know this about myself. I know that, like, under stressful situations, I kind of freak out. I work well if I have base systems and processes. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I don't, like yesterday, Sandy at the event, she was the speaker and she's like, how am I doing on time? And I was like, oh, I don't know how to answer this. And so I was like, the first thing that just blurted out of my mouth, I'm like, we're all set if you're all set. And I was like, damn, that was hell rude. Like I could have said that so much nicer. Like, yeah, just how about wrap it up in 1 minute? You know, like, and I was just like, because you put me on the spot and I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, so I got like, to me, I felt like instantly like, like, I don't know what to say.
Well, and it's so funny that we're having this conversation because as a Toastmaster, I'm like, I didn't set a timer. Who doesn't set a timer? And I
Yeah.
didn't look like everything was flowing and I was communicating with people. So it just like bam, bam, bam. And I was like, holy moly, I don't know where I am in my time. And I didn't hit a button. And it's the things I had planned to do. And then you get in and you're connecting and you're like, oh my gosh, look,
Yeah.
it's so nice to see you. And then it's like,
Yes. Yep. Me too. Cause I was like, oh, we are over time. Like I looked at the time and I got my little schedule of all the time and I was like, ooh, we're a little over. What am I going to do? And then we ended up like, I rushed through everything else because we were behind. Then we ended up with 10 minutes left at the end. And I was like, okay, this is funny. So let's talk about, so the energy leadership index is a test that you take and it's an assessment of your energy levels, not your personality. This is something you can change. So like I being in the lower energy when I get stressed, I can work on that and I can change that, right? By managing my energy. And okay, so talk about the energy levels. Like what are the two charts and then the energy levels that are there?
okay, so there's two different kinds of energy. There's catabolic, which is the it's not, I'm not gonna say negative. It's a tearing down energy, right? It is
It's
the one
lower
that
vibrating.
it is, and it's the one that releases the cortisol and gives us our bellies. Then there's anabolic, and when you're functioning in anabolic, you actually have higher access to creative thinking, to solution, like you're firing on a higher vibration in relation to what you're talking about today, higher vibrating, and
Yeah.
you think better.
Give me
So
some examples of the cat. So here's, I went to one of the classes with her, so I'm kind of semi-familiar with this. So I'm going to bring in my little knowledge that I have. So it's a chart. Like, this is fine. So it's, if you hold up my piece of paper, there you go. So it's like, here's a 1 all the way up to a 9. So like
we're
about
7.
halfway
We go up
through,
to a 7.
okay, go up to a 7. So halfway through, these are all lower vibrating energies like stress, drama, what else? Like anything that just keep, like the news, watching the news will keep you down there, anger, frustration, and they're not good or bad. They just are, right? And then if you come up here, it's peace, it's love, it's joy, it's harmony. And so we want to be up here at all times. We want to be in the higher energy. And then we want to move up the chart from the lower energy because this is a lower vibrating frequency. That's just the only way I can describe it because I don't want to call it bad, right? It's not bad because we have
bad. There is no bad energy level. There's
Yeah.
not. There's 7 levels. There is no bad energy. Even level 1. So level 1, a person is feeling guilt. They're feeling self-doubt. They're feeling worry or fear. Those are level 1 experiences, and they're telling themselves, they're like, I always lose. Gosh, I hate myself, you know? But think about when we're hit with a stressor or somebody hurts our feelings or somebody hits our car or breaks up with us or whatever, we're just like, why does this always happen to me? You know, that's a level 1. But you can bounce. Like you don't have to live there. People
Right.
choose to stay there and stay in a victim mode, which there's not much benefit in camping in victim mode. Like it's fine to bounce down there, but to reside there is
We're
not
human.
justice.
It's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And at level 2, what's really cool is on a level 1, if somebody's there and they're like, woe is me, and you start kind of challenging them about their life and they get angry, like, well, of course I'm worth more than that. Of course I deserve better. Of course. Now they're popping up already. Like their level 2 is conflict. And if you're in conflict to stand for yourself, that is
Well,
not a
that's
bad
interesting.
energy.
Who would think that conflict puts you up a level? You know what I mean? But so you're moving
Conflict
up
puts
the
you
energy
up.
scale. Got it.
Because
Okay.
now you're fighting, particularly if you're fighting for yourself, right? But in that level 2, you're like, well, I win, you lose. Like, screw you. I'm going to win it, whatever it takes. I
Yeah.
don't even like you, and I'm going to win. So that's level 2, but you're moving up. And then level 3, well, now level 3, you're stepping up into anabolic, right? You're like stepping out of that catabolic, your cortisol is kind of calming down, and you're like, all right, we're going to motor through this. We're going to hunker down and we're going to power through and we're going to make this happen. I take responsibility for everything that I'm in charge of or myself, and we're going to do this. And it's I win. If you win too, that's nice. I like that we both win. I forgive you for whatever you said or did to me, and let's get going, right? Level 4, as you're moving on up the chart, is concern and compassion and service. Now, I have a tendency to attract level 4s, right? Because I'm service oriented, I'm service minded, as you are. Now, you that's not your residing level, but that's a great place to be, right? You win, I love you, I support you. We have gratitude, love, and caring, right? And we're concerned for each other's welfare. As you're moving up into level 5, now it's not an either or. 5s are like, I'm filled with peace and acceptance. I understand you, and I have all this in my heart, and we both win. Not an I win or I lose. We both win. Calm, you're confident, and you have a lot of level 5 in you. Level 6 is where you reside most of the time. That's currently your primary level that you reside in right now. And that is synthesis and joy and wisdom. And I see all of that in you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I mean, it's so fun doing this, because when you know the person and you get to see, you're like, oh my God, this is truly who they are. It's right here. And then when you don't know the person and you get to do this for them, then they're like, oh my God, you don't even know me. It's like, well, I do, because I can see.
Yeah.
So your level 6 is everyone always wins, and I am you. Like, there's not a lot of separation, right? There's
Yeah.
fearlessness, there's oneness. You're in this together. Everybody is on the journey together, and level 6 is all about connectedness. Isn't that ironic?
No,
Or
it's
or
spot
not?
on. Like
It's spot
that's
on.
what I truly believe. I believe that we are all connected. We are all one, and it doesn't feel good to me if other people don't win, and we all should win together. Collaboration over competition. I'm
Yeah.
still human. I have moments, all right, but that's where I want to be, and that's what I want to create. That's what I want to bring together with people and anyone who's watching. Like, if you know me personally, I hope that this is how you can see me also. I'm like, yay, I'm an includer too. So that even
Yeah.
makes it even more intense. Like, everybody has to come. Like, we all have to go together, which doesn't always work, right? It's a very conflicted place to be at times, but I just want to throw that in there. Okay, and what's a level 7?
Well, let me talk about your level 6 for just a second. One of the reasons why level 6 for you is so powerful is that level 6 doesn't contain a lot of judgment. So you can accept instantly without even having to talk about it. It's like you just accept people who they are, where they are, and how they are, because there's no judgment, because we're all experiencing it together. We're all in this, we're all one, right?
We all
So
are
why
one.
would I judge you?
Yeah.
Level 7, now you have a lot of level 7, which I like. So level 7 is very interesting because there is no judgment. It's absolute passion and creation. There's no winning or losing, because winning and losing are just an illusion.
Hmm.
It's unconditional love. And it's just a genius level, and you focus on everything and yet nothing at the same time, because everything just flows for you in a level 7. It's quite lovely.
That is very lovely. Thank you. Well, that's exciting.
And so we took your energy assessment in October. I wrote it on your thing. October 3rd, 21.
Sounds right. Mm-hmm.
And you function, this is so cool. You, on your normal energetic day to day, how you show up, you have 83.2% anabolic energy and 16.8% catabolic. But what's interesting, and this is one of the things I wanted to point out to people, against a stressor, you go pew down to level 1. Pew. And under stress, you're 67.5% catabolic and only 32.7% anabolic. But what's interesting to note is that level 1 in under stress is at 50%. It's just a smidge over actually 50% of how you function. But the beautiful thing is that, like we talked about, you can bounce down there and go, good Lord, why does this always happen? And then you're like, whatever, hunker down and move back up. Like it may be 2 seconds in that energy, but that energy is heavy in that for that moment,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
you bounce back up and now you're in the upper energy.
What I think is so interesting is that I feel like my nervous system is totally from trauma, like growing up and things that I've experienced along the way. That when chaos comes, I shut down. I go, ah, it's like the fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn. There's a fawn too. And I have a little bit of a lot of them. And sometimes I can fight, but I usually am a retreater. And so when the stress comes, someone throws something at me in a conversation that I'm not prepared for, and if I'm not grounded, if my energy is not grounded, I'm a deer in headlights. Like, we used to do these comedy shows, and I always think of them because they were crazy. Like they blew up and there was so many people, and like we were like on the last 2 days, tickets just sell like crazy, right? So we can't prepare. We cannot prepare for how many seats there's going to be because on the last day at the door, people show up and we're like, crap, what do we do? And luckily, I'm partnered up with someone who handles stress very well. And so I would just be like, you tell me what to do because I'm like a deer in headlights. And I'm like,
Oh, interesting.
so I
Okay.
know this about myself, and I know that I need to partner as I continue to work on myself and how to work through those types of situations and stay grounded. I also know that I need to partner with people who can mirror the things that might be a little bit more challenging for me at times. So, like growing a business, I know that I need a business partner. And at some point, I will bring in somebody to run the day-to-day operations so that I can just be in my zone of genius of like my butterfly, like, let me talk to the people and let's all be in peace and harmony together. But do I want to be the CEO? No, like that sounds horrible to me.
It's so funny because looking over all of your stuff, right? That level 1, when you're stressed, right? Which is what you're talking about, they're here, what do I do? So when you're there, there's a lack of action. There is a lack of decision making. There's
Mm-hmm.
that fight or flight, like you mentioned, like you won't move forward, you'll just statue it, right?
Free. Yeah.
You'll freeze. And and it puts you in a crisis mode format of focusing on problems, right? Instead of that
Mhm.
genius that you're normally functioning in, now you're in a crisis mode, and that's not your sweet spot.
No. No,
Some
and it is
people,
for
it
some.
is, but not
Yeah.
yours.
Right, and I believe my personal opinion, I don't know what you feel about this, but my personal opinion is it comes back to our traumas. Our traumas create who
Mhm.
we are, and so there are people that had such trauma that they are the person that runs, they're the fighters, they're in the fight mode, they run towards it and they go, "Okay, we need this, 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 and this." I have a couple friends that I can think off of the top of my head who I can associate myself with that, I'm like, "Ah," and they're like, "I got it," and then they take care of it, and that's like the type of person I need to be partnered with.
So, would you like some tools for
Yeah,
when
of
you're in
course.
level 1, when you're
Yeah.
in that like so
Yes, please.
something that would be huge for you in level 1 is to have someone to vent to. Release that pressure valve, right? Pick up the phone and release the pressure valve. Or even if it's just in a journal, if there's no one to vent to, write it out, right?
Yeah.
Like just puke it out, get it out of your system, release that energy so that you can move on to the next thing. Because venting does that, right?
Yeah.
Then identify what you do have control over. Because you still have a lot of control in those moments, but you can't see it, right?
Right.
Because you're in that frozen statue mode. So write out what you do have control over. Well, you don't have control over in that comedy situation how many people show up or how many chairs were set up when those people showed up. But you do have control over putting somebody in charge of adding chairs or setting your intention of how you show up on stage or presenting whatever, getting people flowing in your own circle of control.
Yeah.
And then if you were talking to me when you called with your venting, I would invite you to reframe the situation and look at it from a different angle. Like, so people are walking in a kind of in the comedy club situation. You're like, "Ah." If you take a second and you have vented that pressure valve and you're looking around, how can you reframe the situation of all those people flowing in?
Well, it's gratitude for people wanting to come to the show and being able to give people something to do that's fun and tickets sold. So, being able to pay and keep the money flowing to the comedians and the restaurant and everything else. So, yeah,
And now you're flowing up your energy level so that you reside and resonate back into your genius level.
yeah, yes, absolutely.
So some of the cool things that I could see about you when we did this the first time
Yeah,
is that you have fantastic, beautiful, and great ideas, and that you have this innate sense of knowing how to implement to be successful. And and you're likely to be a risk taker, right?
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
And then the next piece of it is that you're intuitive and passionate about all of life's experiences, the good ones and the ones that other people might label as a bad one, although there are no good or bad. That's just a judgment call, and your judgment may be different than someone else's.
yeah,
But all of life experiences for you are are precious. And you feel connected to everyone and everything. So why would you have a negative belief about it? Like you're not going to. You're going to be like, oh, okay, let's go. We got this. We're going
yeah.
to put on a show. It's going to be great. Yeah,
It's gonna happen. I love
it's
it.
gonna happen. And you're always like that. I love it. Those are beautiful things.
So, how come? I mean, did we already cover this? How come my thinking changes so much when I'm faced with a stressful situation?
It's normal.
Yeah,
You talked about traumas and learned behavior, and it is often without a coach specifically around that or a guide specifically around that, there's been no one to show you any different, right? And what do we do when we're upset? We retreat or we fight, depending on where we're feeling. And we are not taught how to be present for ourselves, right? And how to process or what to like there's no tools. We don't give our children tools often. We don't give them tools in school. We
yeah,
don't give people tools in the workforce. We go to HR. Okay, that's great. HR is important, but where's the actual tool to reset yourself and get yourself back up
yeah,
where you want to be functioning? So it's just
yeah.
normal.
For me, what I realize is if I take time for myself in the day to ground myself, this has been a very big theme all the time, but especially this week. And I am grounded, I can definitely handle stress way better because I'm level headed. My nervous system is calm. And yeah, I can show up better for myself despite what comes. But if I'm already like, caffeine for me is, I'm very sensitive to caffeine. So I
Oh.
actually drink decaf coffee, and I'm moving towards no caffeine at all again. Because I used to never like caffeine. I never liked soda really. I mean, I'll drink it once in a while, but I don't drink it often. And coffee, I never drank coffee. It wasn't until I went traveling. And then it just kind of became, it was the culture in Italy. So they're always like, cafe, cafe. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'll just do it. Yeah. And then I became to love it. So, um, I am working towards that, and then having a morning spiritual practice. So if I start my day ground, like this morning, I woke up and I did just 10 minutes of laying in bed with a guided, or it wasn't a guided, it was just meditation music at a certain frequency. And I did some breathing to help,
Mm.
like, yeah. And so when I can do those things and I stop and take a deep breath, like, I have literally been in very stressful situations where, like, people could see it on my face. I don't hide things
Yeah.
well, and so they could see my face change. And like, I'm getting messages from all these different things. And the one girl, she was like, Jen, you need to take a deep breath, like, in my text message. And literally, she was right. I stopped breathing. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know what to do. Like, it was crazy. It was like, the Zoom wasn't working, and all these people were in the waiting room, and Zoom messed up, and I couldn't let them in, and it was so stressful. And I was like, ah, and I shut down. Like, I was just like, and as soon as I took a breath, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, like, now I reset. Like, and we
Yes.
taking a breath for granted so much. There is so much power in taking a breath. And I try to be more cognizant of it, because I literally will come and find myself not breathing, and I'm tight and I'm
Right?
tense. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, stop and take a breath. Like, so that makes a huge difference. Just a breath in itself, and a
And
pause.
we don't teach people to do that.
No, they don't teach any, like, coping skills in school whatsoever. And we learn all these bad habits or patterns, like emotional eating. I like
Stuffing
naps
our feelings.
personally. I like naps. Those help me.
Yeah.
And I used to really beat myself up for wanting to take naps all the time. And now I see that it is actually a de-stressor for me. So if I go take a nap, I wake up in such a different state. I'm like rejuvenated, or I'm at least like calmer, and then I can come and look at the situation. I'm just all these things are coming to me right now. So another tool that I have is getting up and leaving the computer. So
Yeah.
if I get stressed on the computer and I'm in frustration mode, I leave. I'm like, okay, I need to go do something fun. I need to play. I like to go sit in the backyard. It's very nature. Put
Mm.
bare feet to the ground, take some breaths, sit in the sun, just bask and change my state. And we don't always have that option. The one thing you can always do is take a breath, like, always.
But
So
isn't it funny to you, or interesting is probably the more appropriate term? We don't teach people how to do that. We teach people how to hunker down, how to grit their teeth, how to stuff their emotions, how to stuff
yeah,
their feelings. And if you're stuffing stuff, it's kind of like a bag, it's going to ooze out somewhere if you're
right.
stuffing.
It's gonna
But
be cool at some point.
breathing is viewed as some woohoo thing for some reason. And yet, if we didn't breathe in and out, we would be dead.
Right. Yeah. It's like essential to life. It's crazy.
It's totally. And what's interesting, like I was doing all this, I've been on this journey for a while as far as the energy, but I hadn't meditated. And then a year ago, year and a half ago at this point, my daughter actually was like, here, try the Calm app. And she introduced me to meditation, and I couldn't even take a full breath. My lungs physically hurt to take a full breath. And now I study breathing. I study meditation. I love leading guided meditations. I love helping people breathe. And and we don't teach people that. We don't teach our children that. We
Yeah.
let them get all ramped up and no solution, no valve, no pressure valve.
Yeah. I know some teachers are starting to incorporate that into their daily routines. I know some personally. I don't know that all of them do. It's definitely not in the curriculum that I know of, at least not when I was in school, but that was now a long time ago. So, but these are the things that we need to teach people so that they can teach their kids. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
So that
in
they
the school system.
we need to teach people this not only so they can teach their kids, but so that they can be more present for themselves. They can change their energetic profile, right? Presentation, their energetic presentation. By doing that reset, now they're moving up instantly, and now they're better parents, right?
Right.
They're just, yeah, it's amazing to me. So you touched on things that block you, right, from
Mm-hmm.
your flow, basically. And there are 6 things. There are 6 things that to keep in mind, to keep in check. And I know you missed part of this yesterday
Yeah.
because you
No,
were
tell me
busy.
again. Tell
So
me
I'm
again.
going to give you information again. And for this audience, spiritual. Spiritual is so important. Being connected with purpose. If you're not connected with your purpose, you can be out, and you're out of alignment.
Just a purpose, because like your
A
purpose
purpose.
sounds
I
like
know.
just
It's
there
gonna
has
go
to be one, but just any a purpose. So like,
right. So side fine note, right? The reason why she's interjecting is because I was like, I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm trying to find my purpose. Like I'm doing these things, and there's amazing, beautiful things that I get to do in life and the ways I get to help people, which is awesome. And then I met with somebody and they're like, you're not meant to know your purpose. You're just meant to be in action, which I thought was awesome. I was like, okay. So, but alignment with vision. What is your vision? And you have a beautiful vision, and yours is in flow. You're in flow. So the vision for the moment, it may flex, but spiritual areas, right? Resiliency, commitment, mental presence in the moment. We talked about this a bit yesterday. Presence in the moment is so crucial to survival because people, fear is future based. It hasn't happened. Fear is all about what might happen, what could happen, who might do what, who you can't control any of that. You can't control who might do what. Fear is all about future. Resentment is all about the past. They already done it. You already done it. Whatever been done, been did, right? So resentment, people. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. So that's in the past. Dump the bottle out. Quit drinking the poison. Let it go. Do the work. Cry it out. Scream it out. Punch a bag. Write a note. Burn it.
let it go.
Emotional. Let it go. Yeah, let it go. Put on some Frozen. Let it go. Emotional. So you got spiritual, mental. Now we're at emotional. Emotional is the ability to handle stress response, right? Because if we're reacting, we're not responding, right? That pause, your response. Choose your response. Because when we're reacting, we're not choosing. We're not responding.
No, it's an automatic, like
It's an automatic. And
subconscious.
one of the things we talked about yesterday was hormones. Like we had a room full of women of all different ages, and our hormones as females just flux, right? Being cognizant of where your hormones are and what's going on is important for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Physical, adequate sleep, adequate nutrition, so important. Exercise. And I'm not talking that you have to go do CrossFit or like be a yogi like me. Just go outside, go for a walk, go walk around your house, go walk around the mall, go do something, go lift a soup can 10 times. Just get some exercise. Okay.
That's funny.
It's true. I'm about to use soup cans for a workout, so it is what it is. We use the tools we have.
Absolutely.
Social is the next one. Social is so important. Social influences our energy immensely, right? Our ability to influence others, our ability to communicate and interact with others, our presence of desired culture. Do you want a diverse culture? Create it. Create the culture you want. Do you want a happy culture? Create it. We have the power to create the culture we want. And you know what? Here's the deal, people. Other people don't have to change for you to change yourself. You don't have to wait for someone else. Oh, if he just would stop doing this, or if he would start doing that, or she would start doing this, or if she just talked to me nicer, why does she always tear me down? You don't have to wait for someone to change your own culture, your own environment. The environment is next, sorry. So
The change starts with you, really.
change
'Cause
starts with you.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was gonna say, like, I see it so often, like, oh, so and so never invites me out, and I'm like, well, when's the last time that you called so and so and invited them out? Like, we're always waiting for other people to do stuff. No, take the lead and be the leader and create what you want. So you want so and so to, you want to go out with so and so. And if you only want the invite, then you have to ask yourself and dig a little deeper, like, what is that? Like, why am I looking for that? What's lacking within myself that I need an invite from someone else? If you want to just go out with the person, freaking ask them out. Like, it's that simple. You know what I mean? And it's not just a one and done. People are busy, people have lives. Like, it might have to be 3 to 5 to 10 times. And I've actually heard this a lot because I am a creator of what I want. And
Mhm.
people are always like, thank you so much for not giving up on me. Cause like a lot of people stop asking me to do things because I always tell them no. And I'm like, you have kids. Like, I totally, oh, hold on, cat fight. Sorry.
I heard it. That was awesome.
It's gonna happen.
Oh, she's limping.
No, she's not. She has 3 legs. That's just how
Oh, well, technically, she's always limping.
yeah, she's always limping. I knew that was gonna happen. I even threw stuff at her earlier because she's a little stalker.
Oh, don't be going with that.
I'll give her some love later. But anyway, so they talk about like, oh, I can't always do it. Like, I don't have kids and I'm busy and I don't always want to do things. So I can only imagine if I had kids. So I'm like, yeah, I'll keep inviting you for sure. Like, at some point you might say yes. And I trust that if they tell me keep inviting me, they truly want to go. They're not just, feeding me poo-poo. So yeah. I'm glad that you touched on that.
So I joke, right? I was raised by a man who, if Kirk and Spock had a baby, that's my father, right? Like, he's just a slutty Vulcan. And it's true. Sad but true. No, emotions were not allowed in our house. Emotions were just like, don't cry, don't show emotion, don't, not allowed. And it was unfortunate. Let's just go with that. There's consequences.
Yeah.
But now, in the last few years, I'm stepping into me. I'm discovering who I truly am, and I am love. Like, and people would tell me that. I'm like, what? Me? I'm like, I'm not even allowed to feel that, am I? So I am love, and I will reach out to people, and I normalize telling my friends I love them. Like, I will text them, hey, I love you. I love you so much. And I'm a sunflower girl. Like, I have sunflowers all over me. So here's one. But sunflowers is kind of my thing. So I'll send little sunflowers and notes. And people I haven't talked to forever. And you see these memes and these statements like, if that person isn't talking to you, that means they don't like you. That
Yeah.
person's not reaching out to you. Bullshit. It doesn't necessarily mean that. And I have friends that I cannot talk to for 2 years, and then we see each other and it's like there wasn't a minute of space between us, right? So I normalize reaching out to people and telling them that I love them. And you know what? I don't care. Like, if they're like, you can't, I'm a girl, and I'm like, love you, don't care. Like, accept it or don't accept it. It doesn't change that I love you. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same. But we're relationship builders, and not everybody is. So people also have to understand that is my nature. Those are my strengths. Those are my gifts. And I reach out to the people who don't always reach out to me, and that's fine. Like, I just understand that maybe that's not the way they are, and it doesn't matter how much time passes. Someone can always reach out, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm never gonna be like, "Oh, talk to the hand."
So the last one, just so we have it, is environmental, right? When your lighting is super important. Like, are you getting natural light? Like, I have my little curtain closed, but be sure that you're getting natural light. If you're in Zooms all day, be sure you're sitting near a window if you can, or between Zooms, walk outside, or put yourself on where they can't see you and go stand near a window, go get out there. Environment. And some people can work in a cluttery environment, and some people need clutter free.
Yeah.
Create the environment that you function best in and that makes you feel your best. So
I think that's why. So I want to talk about those two things because I have found out, I did not realize, but I have found out that those are environment is so important to me. Temperature, you talked about
temperature.
temperature
Yeah, temperature
yesterday.
we talked about yesterday.
Temperature is so important. If I'm freezing, I can't focus. I can't concentrate. And so, now I work from home. So I have a blanket, I get socks, I get my slippers, I have a heater. Exactly. And so, and I can grab clothes at any time and change my clothes, which is fortunate. When I worked in an office, it wasn't always that case. I had a heater, and that
Yeah.
was, it was a secret heater. But I was freezing. They have like the air conditioner on. And it's easier if it's cold to be able to warm up than if it's hot. And then you're like, want to sleep. The other thing, the lighting, oh my God, for me, that's huge. Like if I go into a room and it's dark, like I can't, like I have a huge window right here. So I look out the window. I purposely have my desk so I can look out the window and then the light is hitting me. And I go outside multiple times a day to get that light. And I love to go to hotels and work because and they have to be good lighted hotels. So like where the natural light comes in for the day. And like when I'll go like to a staycation or something, I'm happy to just go sit in the room because it's clean, it's clutter free. Like, I mean, my bookshelf to me doesn't look super cluttery, but when you look at it in the back, I'm like, it looks super cluttery. My desk over here, you don't even want to see it. And I'm working on those things, but my desk here, I have an L-shaped desk. I have to keep this one clean, like that I have a space for my papers and I can focus. Because if I don't, I feel very scattered and very lost. And it brings my energy down because I'm like, where's that paper? I can't find it. And it's these little things that we don't even think about that really impact those energy levels that we've been talking about. And how we can move between, a 1 to a 7. I don't know why I thought it was 9, but a 1 to a 7.
I think it's vibration. That must have to do with vibration levels for you.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up and talk about if anybody's interested in getting their own ELI read?
Yeah, 2 things for you. So your core emotion is joy.
Ooh,
Your core action or result is wisdom.
Ooh.
You are naturally an intuitive person with a true visionary and in a consistent state of flow. And you lead more by presence than actions. And you're powerful yet humble.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
see
interesting.
all of that in your thing. And you are about harmony and teamwork.
Yes.
So
If you look at my values, those are 2 of my top values. So it's really cool that these correlate with like my actual life, my values, without even knowing this test prior, because I only basically did this in, well, you said October of 2021. So, and we did cover some of this stuff.
We did cover a little bit. And so in the debrief, like you get a lot of information, but it can be really overwhelming in that hour. Like you get the information and you're just like, holy moly, you just told me who I am and what, things make sense. And so you're kind of like, it takes a minute, right?
Yeah.
So some things for you to be cognizant in your intuition, right? If you're following your intuition impulsively, then you can get out of balance.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And
I know that.
take a pause and balance that with your logic and your emotion, right? To keep you in your flow, right? And also, because you have so much empathy, it can cause you to be pulled into the emotions of others. So,
Mm,
boundaries for you specifically are really, really, really important.
yep, totally true.
Those are
True.
big things for you. So here's my question, because I was thinking about this, because we do know each other so well, and we have been on such a beautiful path together, and it's just like so amazingly parallel and so much fun. But we took this test back, or we did this assessment back in October, and October, November, December, January, February, March. So we're almost 6 months. What has changed for you in the 6 months?
Like, what do you mean exactly? Like, since I took the test and got the information? Well, for me, what was really eye-opening is being able to label and understand that when I get stressed, that I drop my like I freak out. I don't want to say I freak out because that's not true. I can handle stress, but it's not my best me, right? It's not.
Right.
So that knowing that, I try to I guess the easiest way to say it is I try to plan as much as possible so that I am able to control what I can control. It's so funny. I had a dream this morning last night that it was talking about being out of control and stress, and there was a car accident, and it was crazy because I was like, right now I feel out of control. And so I feel like this week I've been in the lower energies because of the stress of the schedule, and I took on new commitments, and I've probably overcommitted, and so that puts me in a stressful state. But I know that it's not going to be the best me. So what do? I need to go put up some boundaries. Like I need to say no to things, and I need to, so like I made a hasty decision yesterday, and I'm like, why did I do that? So it's the awareness of the piece and then actually implementing it. And it's not perfect all the time. There are times that I have been like, let me sleep on that. I'll think about it. And I'll get back to you. And then also the grounding piece. So I've been very inconsistent with my spiritual practices and exercise and all those pieces. But I know from our meeting and everything else that when I am grounded and in the peace and the harmony and the flow, that even when I drop down to a level 1, it's only for a quick second. And then I can get back up very quick, and I can, make decisions, and I'm not over here like high nervous system, like, oh my God, what's going on? I got so much to do. I have had the awareness now, like, okay, stop, like take a breath and move forward. And yeah, I just acknowledge and move on so that I can move up. Acknowledge, move on, and move up.
Amen. And I have watched you since then put on really powerful events.
Oh, thank you.
And I have enjoyed that so much. It's like you were in process when we did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, these are what I want to do. I'm in process. I'm getting there. And man, you're just like, you planted your stake in the ground and you're like, no, I'm doing this. And you started, you got in action, you've tweaked some things. And those events are stellar. Like I've met amazing people because of you
Thank you.
and what you do. So I don't think that maybe you had connected, like you got information and then you implemented what you received.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love to do things like this because I find it so, one, validating. And like when we did our thing, I was like, oh my God, yes. Like that makes so much sense. Like to be able to name it, like allows you to create a new path, in my opinion. So like if you have an unknown ailment happening in your body, it's kind of like you're sitting in limbo. And until like they say, oh, it's a skin rash, eczema, whatever, or something, then you're like, okay, now that I know what it is, I can treat it. And
Yeah.
so when we met and you were able to tell me what it was, I now can be like, oh, okay, like I'm in a level 1 and I just need to move on up the scale and take a moment and use the tools. And yeah, so it was super helpful. And just the awareness and the knowledge in itself is what comes through when I do these types of things. And I always recommend them because it's like it's an exploration of yourself, and that's the biggest path that I'm on, is exploring myself. And I also know that I can prepare myself with a lot more tools that like in another year or two, I could probably take this again and have a completely different outcome, because knowing that when stress hits me, I go to a level 1, 2, 3, that I can work on communication. I can work on regulating my nervous system, which is associated with trauma, which is like a huge part of things. I can work on grounding practices. Like there's so much I can do to improve myself. Like I've put it on my list to work on communication this year and boundaries. And so I'm reading a book called Boundaries, and it's like the perfect thing. And so it'll be interesting to see when I take this again some point in the future.
Yeah, it's funny because I was gonna suggest like October of 2023.
Yeah, yeah, I would say more than a year, because
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to implement, and I'm growing so much so fast, and I do a lot of healing work. I do a lot of exploration. I do a lot of learning. And so I would say at least 2 years
Yeah.
to really, really see a difference, which I'm excited about. So if someone wanted to do this, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you? Or I know I
So
posted your Facebook group up there for people to
awesome. Okay.
join. Yeah.
I can't see any of that, so I So Freedom Crab Nation is a great way to get hold of me, and freedomcrabnation@gmail.com is my email. And
And
Freedom Crab
real quick,
Nation,
what is Freedom Crab Nation? Yeah, you were gonna say it
I
anyways.
love Freedom Crab Nation. That's my company. Freedom Crab Nation is all about overcoming crab mentality and other people's naysaying, because crabs have a certain energetic level and it's not usually a happy one, right? They're like, no, no. But crab mentality is about people thinking, well, if I can't have it or I can't do it, you can't either. So when you take your big idea, dream, or goal, and you share it with the people that you most want approval from, your friends, your family, your loved ones, and they go, why do you want to do that? Or you'll never be able to achieve that. And my mom comes to mind, because my mom lives in her world is very small, right? She's like, no, you don't want to go there. No, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, really, I do. Um, so it's about overcoming other people's naysaying. So offer tools, and we're about to change it up a little bit. I'm super excited to just kind of to make it what it's really meant to be and what I want it to be. So I'm having fun with it.
Okay, so people can join your Facebook group, and then they can reach you directly through Facebook in your Facebook group, or
Or
they can email
yep,
freedomcrabnation
at
at
Gmail.
gmail.com.
And we're doing a special right now for friends and family of Miss Jen Hart. And if you would like to do an ELI assessment and see where your energies are landing under normal day to day and under stress, and talk about how we can raise those up, or if what do you want them to look like, then reach out to me. It's $99, and it takes about 20 minutes or so to do the assessment, and then an hour for the debrief, and then we go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of the information. I always learn new stuff every time, and it's always a good reminder to re-implement things that are not currently in my life in this moment. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. And if anyone has any questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll be monitoring the chat, and we'll get back to you. Thank you for
Woohoo!
watching.
Thank
Bye.
you for having me. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.